Hi there, Pukhraj. This is Nadia from zenonco.io and Love Heals Cancer. We guide cancer patients on adopting an integrative oncological treatment approach. We help them find the balance between medical treatment and complementary treatment approaches. We help patients with our team of oncologists, lab experts, nutritionists, and other healthcare professionals so that we can improve the treatment outcome of the patient, right? We also help in connecting patients with other cancer warriors who have gone through inspirational journeys. And through this, queries are answered, information is passed on, and the entire motivation is spread. That is our aim, that is our intention. Today, we have Pukhraj Singh here, who has been a caregiver to his son, and we can't wait to hear his story. I can't wait to hear his story. I'm pretty sure the viewers also can't wait to hear it. So over to you, Pukhraj. The whole world is listening to you. It's your story to tell. Please take it from you.
Hi, Nadia. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And whenever you see in the world, all stories always begin with a difficult start, and then they just become beautiful. At least for me, I think this is the way my life has turned out. 8 years back, 12 years back, my son was 11 years old, and he was diagnosed with leukemia, blood cancer. And all I can say is the whole life just came to a standstill. Today, by God's grace, he's absolutely fine. He's grown up. But that 8-9 months of that chemo just kind of changed our lives. The whole family just changed, because when you see an 11-year-old getting injections every day, you just don't know what happened, why did it happen. So I think my story my son was unwell, and he was hospitalized, and we had the hospital home, the chemo, the injections. It was. I mean, I don't even want to think about it, but in all this process, God was kind. And if I can share with you how my story started, when I think it was 3 months, my son was into chemo. We were back home, and me and my wife every day used to just share a lot of inspirational stories with him. The book Secret had come out. We used to talk about the power of the mind. And one fine day, I said, look, you have cancer. By God's grace, you will be okay. But tell us, how is it affected you in your life in a positive way? So I just gave him a laptop, and I had this 11-year-old in 40 minutes just writing a one-page article about his fight with cancer. And it was a very positive kind of story about, that time all we used to talk about was the mind, and he said most of, cancer is related to stress. This is all an 11-year-old could gauge. So 40 minutes later, I took a printout, and I was just fascinated because it just came from the heart. And just went soon to the school, because he was not going to school. School is next door. So went and showed to the principal. She was also touched. She said, I'll definitely get it printed in the school magazine. And this kind of, this happened. A month later, we had a break from chemo. So we went to Chandigarh. My in-laws are there. And my father-in-law had just bought a newspaper which goes online to all the Punjabis in the world. So without telling me, he actually posted that article which my son had written with his photo and my mobile number. And he just posted it. And I remember I was there at 4:35 in the morning. I had some gentleman calling me. He said, I'm so-and-so. I'm calling from Sweden. And I just want to say I'm praying for your son. So I was kind of taken aback. I didn't know what to do. I spoke to him a couple of minutes. And then I just asked my father-in-law. He says, I just printed that article about your son's struggle with cancer. Nadia, that day I got 300 calls. In the next 1 week, I got over 1,000 calls. I had people, they didn't know me. They just saw the article and they just started calling me up because my mobile number was there. I had 40 people calling me. They didn't know where I live, nothing. All they said, where can we send you money? I had another 50, 60 people saying, okay, we want to give blood. Where can we come and give blood. And more than that was I had cancer survivors calling. I had some doctors calling. I didn't know who they were. They just read that article. And in the next 1 week, I think I got 1,000 calls. I got 900 messages in my phone. It's jammed after that. I don't use it. But this kind of altered my life. This changed my life. I had people calling from some gurdwaras, from institutes saying, we are praying for your son. So it was like, hang on, why are they doing it? It was like, what has happened? I still remember there was a gentleman who called me, some old gentleman called me 8:30 in the night. He said, in the morning, I read your son's article and I was very touched. So whole day I was farming and now I've just come to the STD booth. I cycled 20 kilometers just to say I'm praying for your son. And all this made me realize how beautiful the world is, how kind people are. And the funny thing is, I probably wouldn't have done it for somebody. The way I had lived my life, if I knew somebody who was sick, I would probably just say, let me know if I can help. But here in a week's time, I had 1,000 well-wishers. I had some Gurdwara Granthis calling me, we're doing prayers for your son in this Gurdwara. I was that time it was more like a shock. It was just overwhelming. I didn't know how to react. But later on, it made me realize prayers matter. Everything does matter. Good energy matters. And it was, I think, the beginning of my journey. And strangely, I think God wanted to tell me that it's not only Punjabis, because it's actually 3 months later, I took my son to the school to meet his teacher. He still couldn't attend. And we were sitting there in the lobby, and this lady just walks. My son was wearing a mask. He had a cap on. So some lady just walks up to my wife. She says, can I speak to you? She takes my wife out. She says, I don't know what the problem with your son is, but I'm a firm believer in Sai Baba. And while talking, she just takes off a locket, a gold locket of Sai Baba. She gives it to my wife. She says, tell your son to wear it. It was, my wife came and I said, what happened? She says, she just gave this, gold locket of Sai Baba. So I just walked up to her. I said, are you a parent in the school? She said, no, but I'm a firm believer in Sai Baba. Please tell your son to wear this. So he actually wore it for the next 5 years. But it just made me realize how kind of people, that there is some prayers, there is a universe which is working, which can work towards making anybody feel better. And I guess this is how my journey started. And today, I think the way I look at it, it was meant to be. It was payback time, because by God's grace, I don't work in life. Today, it's been 2 years. I've stopped working. I think my God gives me enough. It's just a way of looking at things. So I've been working with an NGO 8 years now called Can Support. It's a wonderful organization, even recognized by the WHO. And we have a daycare program there. So once a week, I have for over 2.5 hours, I have 50 teenagers all suffering from cancer. They come there. And when they come there, they're all from the village background. So what they need is some kind of emotional support, somebody to guide them, somebody to make them smile. And there are wonderful volunteers there. I'm a volunteer there. And this is what we kind of do. Besides this, 3 times a week, last 5 years, I go to AIMS, right opposite there around. There's a dharamshala where 300 people sleep on the floor, another 100 on the pavement out there. And I guess God gives me strength, because I actually go put my hand across his shoulder, ask them how they are feeling, how are they doing, buy them medicines, and try to make them smile. And in the end, I just hug them. And what I do is something called emotional handholding. And it is such an important, integral part of any kind of treatment, whether it's cancer, whether it's anything else. So I guess this is what my life journey is. This is what I think my purpose is. When you start doing things like this, when you go off the track, then you start realizing why you're in this world. This is the way I look at life today. We are all born in this world with a purpose, with a calling. If we are lucky enough, if we are blessed enough, if we open our minds, then you can actually get a feel of your calling. And then life is beautiful. Then life is joyful. I hope. Anything else you would like?
Completely agree. I completely agree. Like you have briefed it all up. I realize you have briefed everything up. I have a few questions to ask. I could go on for that, but
Sure.
let me just say kudos to how you have taken something that has happened in your life and made it something completely different. Like I have to, it is, you're paying it forward 10 times more than what you've got. So that is amazing. It's amazing work. It is not what a lot of people would do. It's not, you actually saw it as a sign, didn't you? If you saw it as a sign, and it changed your life forever, it changed your perspective forever. And look at you, we are sitting here having this conversation about what we do and how we can take things forward in such a COVID situation. So at that point in time also, your belief today in what you see and what you know is true is so strong
Thank
that
you.
you know the work that you're doing out there is for the greater good. And that I want to really, really, really applaud you on, Pukhraj.
I'll put it across another way. First of all, I think doing what I do, my whole perception to living to life has changed. And secondly, the way I look at it is it gives me a high. It gives me a high. Life is only beautiful when you're able to share, when you're able to love a stranger. And I'll share another how it changed a little bit more. So around 5 years back, we were allowed as an NGO to approach Safdarjung Hospital. So first time I went with this amazing volunteer, and we were outside the cancer ward. So there was this old couple, probably 65 years old. The lady had a gungat. She was probably from Rajasthan couple, and the husband had a lump right here on the neck. So she just walked up to them. She says, "Namaste, मेरा नाम ये है, मैं इस संस्था से हूँ, and I just want to ask, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you doing?" While she said this, she just put her hands around the lady's shoulder. Nadia, in 2 minutes, that woman was howling. In 5 minutes, that man was howling. Why? Because somebody in a city like Delhi had just asked them, "How are you?" So, we've forgotten what it is just to ask, just to share. In 5 minutes, the next 25 minutes, we just heard them out. They were just waiting to talk. They'd sold their property. Their kids had left them. There was no exchange of money, nothing. But for me, it was 25 minutes of listening to somebody. For them, it was all that emotional upheaval they needed, that thing to share with somebody. I can't give anybody hope. But if I can even just comfort them, whether with a smile, just by holding there, just putting my hand across the shoulder, that works as healing. That works as therapy. So I think that changed my life. If I can give my time to somebody and make them just smile, the rest is incidental, whether they feel better or how good they feel. I think their life is a blessing.
I think it all started with your son because you asked him to write, which in turn is one of a coping mechanism where you journal your
Right.
life. So he unintentionally, what was in his heart just came out, and that in itself was a type of healing. So it started there. And if you don't mind, could you tell us your son's treatment journey, how he went through the treatment?
How it is always difficult. It is always difficult going through cancer, going through chemo, going through radiation, and even more difficult when you see your own child going through it. But I guess the only way because this is what I tell people, I tell the caregivers who come with their children or anybody, I say, when you have cancer, first of all, it's not a big deal. The UN says in the next 5 years, one in every 3 people will get cancer. The good thing about cancer is people recover. Lots and lots of people do recover. So, and for me, I think one of the most important thing of fighting cancer or any illness is your mindset. So that's where what I have learned or practiced is something called emotional handholding. Because when you have cancer, you have 2 pains. You have your physical pain because of the chemo, the radiation. More important than that is your emotional pain. because you're lost in life. You have literally 11 different reactions, from resentment, to grievance, to sadness. Your whole belief system goes for a toss when you're diagnosed with cancer. So the only way to look ahead is to compile yourself, get your emotions in place. So this is what I practice with, what I deal with patients. This is what I do with patients. Because people need an outburst. When somebody's sick, the whole family goes for a toss. They don't know what has happened. They don't know how to deal with the current situation. They don't know how to deal with the pain of the cancer, or how to emote with people. So this is where I guess I like to comfort people. And I mean, I can tell you, when you go off track, life can sometimes be just beautiful and amazing. At least for me, I feel that is the way it is right now.
Right. And how about your son right now? He must be, say, how old right now?
He's 23 right now.
20?
He's absolutely, yeah.
Wow. That is a big jump. Yes. 23 for so many years. Yes. Wow. Amazing. And he must be he must be looking up to you so much, as part of taking care and being there. Is he, I mean, as a father, as a parent who has gone through that, like you said before, no parent would have wanted to see that, but you had to be his caregiver, right?
Well, I guess my son, my daughter, and my wife, I thank them for this support all the time. Because which other wife would say, why aren't you earning money? Why are you just going and meeting sick people 5 days a week? I sometimes actually meet people who are dying. It's not an easy place. I can't give anybody hope, but if I can make them smile, is good enough. Their journey becomes easier. So I always thank them for allowing me to do what I do. Because any wife would say, why aren't you earning money?
Because family support is everything.
Absolutely. So
It is
I feel I'm
everything.
blessed enough. Yeah. Well, this is what I.
Right. Over to my next question.
Sure.
Coming to the hospital treatment and the caregivers there at the hospital, how would you like to talk to us about that in your experience?
Caregivers at where? At the
Hospital, when you took your son there to the hospital and treatment there.
See, that time everybody's lost.
Yes.
Literally mentally. Excuse me.
Sorry, it's okay.
You're mentally exhausted. When cancer happens, one is totally lost. One doesn't know what to do. So you just go by the guidance of the doctor. One very important thing, you have to take it a day at a time. Today is a good day. Tomorrow will be a better day. This is one very, very important message. Because when you go to a hospital and the doctor says your chemo, your surgery is going to go for this month, and then you're going to go for maintenance, it plays havoc with your mind. So you just take it a day at a time. Okay, today was a good day. Tomorrow will be a better day. And usually it turns out to be. So that was where the hospital journey was.
Right. And the caregivers at the hospital, the nurses, the doctors.
Oh, they are wonderful. They're always overburdened, but that's very important, that to have a sensitive doctor, to have the sensitive nurses. And by God's grace, at least that's what I found around wherever we were. I mean, the way I look at it is, if you start being a source of good positive energy, you attract that kind of energy. That's what I feel today.
Perfect. That is so true. That is so true. It is what it is. I mean, yeah.
Right.
So also, I would like to talk about how his lifestyle, how it has changed after cancer. I'm as a caregiver, you've seen the difference, how it must have been for your son as well. Could you tell us about his diet?
Well, that time he was very young, but today I feel he's become much more caring for people. If I tell him, lots of times I tell him, okay, this child is having blood cancer. Can you meet him? Can you talk to him? He makes sure he does that. So that itself is one very important aspect. Talking to, when you're a survivor, talking back to people who need you the most. So I'll share one thing which I do at my daycare. Last year I had around 11 teenagers, all suffering from brain cancer, all from a village background. So they came over to my daycare. Now these are people from the village. The parents have no idea about the illness. They're just petrified. The child is lost because he's lost out on his school. He doesn't know where he is. He's a teenager. So when they came to 11 last year, 11 of them, they came to my daycare, and I made them sit across, and across the table, I introduced them to a 24-year-old boy who had 13 years back the same cancer. He also had brain cancer. So I said, "Aapko aaj cancer hai, isko 13 saal pehle tha." The doctor had given him 8 days to live, and today this was 13 years back, and today the child is absolutely fine. The instant they hear this, you have to see the glow on that teenager's face. Though his first reaction is, if he can become okay, why can't I become okay? If the parents start getting hope, if you tell them everything is going to be okay, it doesn't work like that. Here I actually make them introduce them to a survivor of the same cancer. That makes all the difference. I get with youngsters, you have eye cancer, you have leukemia, you have the bone cancer. I make sure I introduce them to a survivor of the same cancer. That makes all the difference. So this is very, very important.
Right. It a kind of is the missing link that is happening right now. It's linking the entire treatment journey of the survivor and the patient. Yes. So
Right.
talking about that as well, when we take into consideration the entire lifestyle of a certain patient, how would you put it in terms of, say, getting to know them as a person and their family background? Because every family goes through it, not just the patient, the family goes through it as well.
Well, when I deal with the patient, I'm dealing with the whole family, because I make it a point to speak to the parent or the sibling or somebody, because everybody's lost. We actually live in a country where we are unable to share our affections, to share our thoughts also, because of the way we live in society. We are unable to express ourselves. So this is very important. At my daycare, this is what we do. We are able to make them, just comfort them, just let them open up. That is the first process in any kind of healing, because you have so many hidden fears, you have so many, you know or so many fears going through all the time. So when you're able to comfort them and you're able to get these feelings out through emotions, that is very important.
Right. I completely agree with you, because um, even the family does not have that awareness, like you just said before. Even if a symptom happens, a sign is shown, we tend to ignore it, right?
Right.
Because that awareness is not there. The awareness to go and immediately show the doctor, or maybe an early detection could actually help the patient, until and unless it gets to its worst situation. Would you like to comment on that as well?
Always happens. You see, because when you have something like this, you go on a Google search, it drives you mad. I always tell people, only go and do a search if you have the guts for it, because it can create havoc with your mind. So this is very important. Don't go searching for things. Believe in the doctor. I always say, believe in the doctor. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it for years, right? And I like to combine this all with a lot of integrative alternative therapies. That is also there. And I keep it very simple. I meet so many patients, all I tell them is, your chemo will go on, right? Your medicines go on. Just add a little bit of smile, laughter, the right breath, and sitting out in the sun. Just keep it simple. All these things go a long way in helping you recover.
Yes, yes, definitely. It is all part of it. We tend to only concentrate on the medical side of it. We forget how important the integrative part of it. The organizations like ours and yours definitely kind of put it together, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Right, right. The importance of it is definitely right there. So that is the intention, definitely. So, talking about the side effects of each therapy that is going, mostly chemotherapy. Um, when your son was going through the treatment, did he go through any side effects of any sort?
Major. just lots and lots. There were days where he couldn't sip water for 8-9 days. He would just throw up. That's a side effect of some of the chemos you get. There's one chemo which he got, which causes, when you touch it, when they mix it, they wear thick gloves, because when you just touch it, it causes 85% burns. So my son still has on his vein, you can see the burns. It's that terrible. So this is just all part of it.
It was part of his treatment, yes.
Part of his treatment.
But definitely he's come out of it. You all have come out of it. And you all are sitting here at this point in life. This is just amazing. At least for me, it is very inspirational. Right.
Yeah.
And talking about how his immunity has boosted ever since, because his lifestyle has changed right after cancer. Could you tell us more about that?
His lifestyle changed. See, that time he was still very young.
Right.
But today, after that, he's very careful on what he eats, how much does he eat. He controls everything. That is definitely required, because in today's world, we are filled with every kind of junk food, with every kind of thing which we don't need. So I think that probably was his starting point, where he just started controlling his eating habits. He's more into eating vegetables, into, home stuff. And I think all this does make a difference in the long run for anybody.
Right. And how did his mom, his sister, like the rest of the family take this information? How did they deal with it as well?
It was very difficult, because when you have chemo, your immunity is very low. For 5-6 months, we didn't allow our daughter to meet our son. So she was like, separate. We didn't let her come close. So it's a traumatic time, even for my wife. It was like daily just making sure, when you are going through all this, you need to have hot piping food. You need to have healthy food. So this was all a challenge, but God was kind. So.
Yes, definitely. Went through such a trying time and still out here making it a difference to your life, at the same time changing it for other people. Pukhraj, I really have to applaud you for this. It is just one person, one man standing can make so much of a change in so many people's lives. Really, I have to applaud you for this. And today you're sitting here telling me stories of so many different other people's lives you've touched, and that too within cancer. That too because you know how difficult it is. You've seen it up front because of your son. You know how difficult it can get. You know how difficult the financial side of it can be, the medical side of it can be, the awareness part can be. So, talking mainly about from a caregiver's perspective, how has your life changed? How has your perspective changed?
My life has taken a complete 180 turn here in everything, from my thought process to everything possible. Because, this whole journey, how it began, what happened, it was tough, of course. But today I have a purpose. Today I have a purpose on what I do. Besides that, I feel I have clarity in what I do. Where do we go wrong? Why do we fall sick? I don't know if this makes sense. I'm just adding this. Why do we fall sick? Because of the way we live. The way we live, the way we meeting people, there's always negativity all around. So what is missing in our life is something called compassion. What I do, it just comes. What I do is something I feel called compassion. There are 7 religions in the world. The basic essence of all these religions is something called compassion. What is compassion? When you can have empathy for somebody and do something about it. This might be a little off track, but this is how my life is. When you have compassion, then all you have flowing through you is love, and love heals. It heals you. It heals the people around you. So this is very, very important. What do I do when I meet a patient? I just love them. Unconditional love. I hold their hand. I hug them. That sometimes it heals. Sometimes it makes them recover totally. And we all have it in us. There's nothing special about Pukhraj Singh. We all have it in us. If we just change our perception, our reason for living, that's when the whole process starts for you also. Today, I tell people, I said, why are we born in this world? We are born to be a blessing for others and a joy for ourselves. We don't get either of it. The day you start living life like that, that's when life is beautiful. That's when it's full of joy.
Yes, definitely. And my final question to you, what would be your message out there to everybody watching this, to everyone seeing Pukhraj Singh and what he has been through and what he is doing today? Words of wisdom, message out there in a sentence, maybe. What is it? Yeah.
I just said it. Be a blessing for others, and then you'll find joy for yourselves. This is most important. All I tell people is just start, whether it's cancer or whether it's anything else, start changing your perception, start changing your beliefs, start questioning what you do. For me also, it was not easy for 8 years to transform from working to not doing something else in life. But it's giving me a high in life today. When you change your perception, when you step out of your comfort zone, it's very important. What do? I don't do anything much. All I do is just when I meet somebody who's sick, I just hold their hand. I just like to hear them out. I just try to make them smile. I just hug them. It works as therapy for me more than for them also. And all I would tell people is start being a little kind, start being a little sensitive, start hearing, start sharing, start talking to people who are sick. Just so. I hope I'm making sense.
Right, right. Definitely. Definitely you are. Thank you so much, Pukhraj Singh. It has been a pleasure talking to you.